New clashes on college campuses all across the West. Many pro-Palestinian demonstrators showing no signs of backing down. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The protests overtaking college campuses nationwide are causing some serious disruptions. In Oregon, Portland State University was shut down today, and there are protests underway on campuses across the West from Washington to New Mexico. We begin tonight's team coverage on these demonstrations with Fox 12's Connor McCarthy. He's following the protest at Portland State, where demonstrators are refusing to leave that school's library.
Protesters taking control of Portland State University's library, demanding the university do more about the war in Gaza.
We've put these barricades up in the name of love for people that we'll never know, for 61,000 plus people that nobody will ever get to know again.
One protester named Jay didn't want his face shown on camera, but allowed us to record his voice. He says he is not a student and never was a student at PSU, but felt the need to join the student movement.
I'm here because these students are the face of the nation. These people are our next leaders, and our next leaders say that this is wrong.
The protesters posted a list of 13 demands on Instagram for the university. Some of those include the university publicly demanding a ceasefire and condemning the killing of thousands of Palestinians, cutting ties with companies that work with Israel, and putting Palestinian history in its course requirements. PSU President Ann Cudd listened to one of their demands by announcing last Friday the university will pause any gifts from Boeing, one of the companies the protesters singled out. Protesters say that's not enough and want to see university and city leadership directly engage with them.
But the simple fact is that the way that they can get a hold of us is coming here and speaking with us.
Students that I spoke with off camera say they do support the protests, while others say they're not happy with the vandalism. But for some Jewish community members, like Golda, she strongly disagrees with the protest.
I'm sickened by it. It's disgusting. It sends a shiver through my spine as a Jewish person in Portland.
Golda didn't want her face shown on camera because she fears retaliation for speaking out against the protest.
There's room for two there, but yet you're hearing for the call for the destruction of the Jewish people in their native homeland. I think it's deplorable, and I think the education has failed at educating their students.
Golda says she's happy the mayor and Portland police have addressed the encampment quickly and are taking it seriously. Chief Bob Day says police will arrest people that do not leave the library. Protesters say they're not going to leave until their demands are met.
How much more slaughter is it going to take for them to realize that they're on the wrong side of history?
And that was Fox 12's Connor McCarthy reporting for us tonight. Clashes between police and protesters in Utah ended with 17 arrests and the seizure of a hatchet.
U of U is painted red, over 40,000 dead.
Protests at the University of Utah escalated late last night after protesters linked arms around tents that were set up on campus. Salt Lake City police officers say they helped campus police clear the encampment after giving protesters several warnings to leave. Protesters who refused to leave were then arrested. Investigators say several officers had water bottles, rocks, and other items thrown at them during clashes. One campus officer did suffer a minor injury. Campus operations were back to normal today with final exams underway there in Utah. Police were able to clear protesters out of the Student Union building at the University of New Mexico overnight. Students and community members marched into that building last night, and they set up tents on the second floor. According to the Albuquerque Journal, 16 people were arrested here. The Student Union building is going to reopen tomorrow. UCLA tightened security on campus today after physical altercations between dueling factions of protesters. One Jewish student says pro-Palestinian demonstrators wouldn't let him walk across the campus. As Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reports tonight, the school's vice chancellor says anyone involved in blocking classroom access could face expulsion or suspension.
New photos taken inside the pro-Palestinian camp at UCLA show graffiti on buildings and walkways. This chalk reads, "Step here," and shows the Star of David. University workers outside the gated encampment Tuesday starting to clean up.
This is just full-on anti-Semitism, like at its clearest extent.
You guys have closed the entrance. We are UCLA students.
In a now viral video from Monday, Eli Civis claims demonstrators blocked him from walking to class.
I'm being blocked off Not by the security guard, but by you two.
The Jewish UCLA freshman carrying pepper spray with him on campus Tuesday, he says for safety.
This is a shame that this is happening in the year 2024. This is exactly what would happen in 1930s Germany when Jewish students were blocked out of universities by fellow German students.
Counter-protesters continue trying to get into the closed-off pro-Palestinian camp. Is there anyone that can talk with us today?
No, not today.
We tried speaking with the demonstrators. How do you determine who gets in and who can't?
That's a great question. You can definitely talk to the media person tomorrow about that.
We're in the middle of the quad right now. We got Royce Hall and the library. Any students that have to access these buildings because of this fencing, they have to walk all the way around.
Just seeing like the divide of our student population right now, it's kind of scary.
A lot of students, like me included, would just like to see this kind of end at some point, whether giving in to their demands or by letting them know like, hey, you're allowed to protest, but life needs to continue, especially because midterms are right around the corner.
A spokesperson from UCLA tells Fox 11 they're increasing security after incidents on campus Monday.
There was also a report of students access to, yes, they're talking about me.
We showed the full statement to Eli, which also reads, while the demonstration remains largely peaceful, our campus must remain a place where we treat one another with respect and recognize our shared humanity, not a place where we devolve into violence and bullying.
I'm a big supporter of freedom of speech, but this has gotten out of hand. They are breaking the law.
And that was Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reporting tonight from L.A. At Cal Poly Humboldt in far northern California, police moved in overnight and took 24 people into custody after 8 days of ongoing demonstrations there. A local reporter covering that sweep was detained in the process by officers. Protesters are facing a variety of charges, including unlawful assembly, vandalism, and assault on police officers. The president of Cal Poly Humboldt said the demonstrations had put the campus at risk. And at the University of Washington in Seattle, protesters have set up about a dozen tents. The university posted signs saying that camping was not allowed, but those signs were later removed. University officials would not say if the campus is going to do anything to address that encampment. In response to the nationwide campus protests, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he plans to bring an anti-Semitism awareness bill to the House floor this week. It could pave the way for some protesters to face criminal charges and allow lawmakers to cut federal funding to universities that don't control anti-Semitic behavior.
This is out of control. We've got to protect the innocent students there, and we got to say clearly, and without any equivocation, that anti-Semitism is wrong.
Smashing windows with hammers and taking over university buildings is not free speech. It is lawlessness.
And we are following a developing situation in New York tonight. That's where large numbers of New York City police officers are entering the campus of Columbia University. Let's take you here, if we can, to a live picture from that scene. You can see some of those police officers there who are just outside of the campus right now. Leaders at Columbia University say dozens of protesters who broke into the school's Hamilton Hall will now be facing expulsion. Those taking part in that encampment on the campus's main lawn are being suspended. And again, NYPD officers moving in tonight on those demonstrators on the campus of Columbia University will continue following that developing situation there. Tonight, dozens of people are being treated for injuries following a collision between a light rail train and a bus in Los Angeles. The Metro train and the University of Southern California shuttle bus collided just before noon today near the USC campus. Investigators say at least 55 people were hurt here, including 18 people who had to be taken to the hospital. 2 of those victims suffered serious injuries.
They were transported by ALS resources, meaning they needed some advanced life support, but they were awake and talking, and at this time they're in stable condition.
A spokesperson for LA Metro says that for an unknown reason, that bus crossed into the path of the train. The cause of the crash is still being investigated tonight. Hundreds of people showed up today for an emotional tribute to an Idaho sheriff's deputy who was killed on the job last week. That service for Deputy Tobin Bolter was held in Nampa, Idaho, but many people in the Bay Area found a way to honor his life as well. KTVU's Janet Katsuyama shows us how people paid respects in the community where Bolter grew up and once worked.
The memorial service for Deputy Tobin Bolter up in Idaho was live streamed here in the East Bay at his home congregation, North Creek Church. Hundreds of people gathered, including Bolter's grandmother, Lily, who couldn't make the trip to Idaho.
And so we wanted to have an opportunity to bring the community together here at our church, those who were not able to go up to Idaho to be in person, be able to watch here together in solidarity to support the family, the Bolter family, Wells family. Tobin and Abby grew up here. They were married here. Both of their families still attend here. And so this has been very impactful. Tobin was a man of
deep pain and sympathy for the Bolter family. Police with Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek departments also attended. He had been a cadet with Walnut Creek Police and also served as a Pleasant Hill police officer for several years before moving to Idaho. The Ada County Sheriff says Bolter had been a deputy only 4 months. He was shot and killed April 20th by a driver who Bolter had pulled over for a traffic stop. Friends watched Tobin Bolter's wife, Abby, and his family join the North Creek Church senior pastor at the Idaho service.
I'm truly speechless at the generosity of so many individuals. I am mostly grieving the loss of my best friend. This coming June, we would have celebrated our 6th year of marriage.
During the ceremony, the Ada County Sheriff presented the family with a Purple Heart.
This past week has been an emotional roller coaster. The loss of Deputy Bolter has left a gaping hole in our agency and in our hearts.
The church community in the Bay Area said they wanted to support local police, friends, and community members.
I know a lot of my friends know him. He's around my age. And then, our pastor spoke about him.
I actually am the facilities manager at the high school that he went to. So I got to see him regularly on a daily basis, and just a light to everybody he touched. An amazing young man, little boy up to a young man.
Here at North Creek Church in Walnut Creek, they asked people to write messages and remembrances on white cards. They collected them after the ceremony to give to his family. In Walnut Creek, Janet Katsuyama, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a tragic accident in Arizona. A little boy killed when the bounce house he was playing in was blown away by strong winds. How the community is stepping up to support his grieving family. Plus, a new twist in the battle over reproductive rights in Arizona. We'll break down what the state's attorney general hopes will put off implementation of a near total abortion ban.
And in weather, here's our live camera looking out towards San Francisco on a Tuesday evening. Clear skies in the Bay Area, a bit of a warm up with temperatures approaching the 80-degree mark. Other parts of the West Coast, we're talking about frost advisories, and we'll have the update coming up.
Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays wants the state's Supreme Court to delay implementation of a near-total abortion ban. She's requesting a stay to give her more time to consider filing an appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. Earlier this month, Arizona's Supreme Court revived a Civil War-era abortion ban that is set to take effect in June. Arizona lawmakers did vote last week to repeal that ban, and the state Senate is expected to vote on the measure tomorrow. If it's passed by the Senate and signed by Governor Katie Hobbs, that repeal would take effect in October. An Arizona family is in mourning tonight after a 2-year-old boy was killed when the bounce house he was playing in went airborne in strong winds. The boy's father is a Phoenix firefighter. As Fox 10's Lauren Clark tells us, investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what went wrong.
One family is changed forever. Around 5 in the afternoon Saturday, crews arrived at the area of Rosemead and Bel Air outside of Casa Grande. PCSO says children were playing in a bounce house when a strong gust of wind sent it airborne, crashing it into a neighboring lot. First responders took a 2-year-old child to the hospital, where he passed away. Another child is recovering from injuries and is expected to survive. Phoenix Fire confirms the 2-year-old's dad is a firefighter with the department, writing in a statement to Fox 10 that we are all devastated by this tremendous loss of life. The fire service prides itself on being one big family. Our membership in our department is doing everything we can to support Carl and Christy during this difficult time. The local union has also organized a meal drive for the family. A GoFundMe to help with expenses is now over $100,000.
Obviously, condolences to the family and to friends and stuff who knew the family and who knew, this poor baby who sadly passed away.
Delmy is the owner of Together We Bounce Party Rentals in the Valley. She confirms her company was not involved in Casa Grande this weekend. To be clear, circumstances of what exactly happened remain unknown. Delmy doesn't want to speculate either. But as a business owner and a mom, she wants the community to know this.
Making sure that you're setting up or you're renting from somebody who's reputable, who has insurance, who knows how to set these up, and more so making sure that they're securing these units correctly, whether that be with stakes or sandbags.
And that was Fox 10's Lauren Clark reporting for us tonight. Officials say this type of tragedy is rare. According to the American Meteorological Society, 28 bounce house deaths were recorded between the year 2000 and 2021. More migrants have been hospitalized after falling from a tall stretch of border wall along California's southern border. 2 women fell last night in an area where the border wall is as high as 30 feet. They were both transported to a hospital. It's unclear how they're doing tonight. Injuries from falls along California's southern border have been on the rise ever since the Trump administration built a taller wall in that area. At least 5 migrants have died as a result of falls this year, and dozens of others have been injured.
Well, in weather, as we take a look at the West Coast forecast here, as you can see, some rain showers up in the Pacific Northwest as we come in closer, showing you the clouds and the radar. So an unsettled day here. In fact, a cold pattern setting up. Frost advisories posted for the Seattle area for tonight, with temperatures dipping into the 30s overnight. This was the scene in Seattle, showing you kind of a nice kind of mixture of sunshine and some clouds. Temperature of 56 degrees. I did see 0.02 rainfall over the past 24 hours in Seattle. In San Francisco, a beautiful day today. Lots of sunshine, temperatures in the lower 60s. There is a bit of a warming trend for the Bay Area coming up for Wednesday and into Thursday. And in the Phoenix area, nothing but blue sky and some hot temperatures. Temperatures in the 90s this afternoon with a high of 96 degrees. Here is a look at some of the current numbers. As I mentioned, some chilly temperatures up here for both Portland and Seattle. San Francisco right now 57, Los Angeles 61, and Denver right now checking in 61 degrees. Here's the setup for tomorrow. We still have this cold pool of air up here, so as a result, we'll have temperatures for the afternoon, mainly in the 50s for Seattle. Lots of sunshine, though, for San Francisco. Clearing skies down towards Southern California after some patchy morning fog, and then some sunshine out toward Phoenix. Could be a bit unsettled out toward Denver with about a 20% chance of some rain showers for tomorrow. Here is the forecast for Los Angeles, starting out the day in the 50s and the 60s, and then maxing out in the upper 60s to maybe right around 70 degrees tomorrow afternoon. So here's the forecast model, as you can see, as we put things in motion into your Wednesday. I'll be watching out for some rain developing near portions of the Oregon coastline, and then out toward Denver, there's the possibility of some shower activity. But for Phoenix and also for a good portion of California, we're talking about a dry weather pattern for tomorrow. So here is the setup over the next 3 days. We are expecting a sun cloud mix up to the north. San Francisco, it's a beautiful stretch of weather. What's interesting, as you can see, for San Francisco, temperatures close to 70 degrees. And then on a Friday, a little bit of some cooling. It looks like we could be talking about increasing rain chances for the Bay Area as we head toward the weekend. For Southern California, temperatures mainly in the upper 60s to the lower 70s. And then, as you can see, out toward Phoenix, we will have some 90s. So, Alex, an interesting forecast. We're still talking about some 90s for portions of the West Coast, and also for portions of the West Coast, we're talking about frost advisory. So it's all happening in this short-term deal.
Yeah, we got it all in there. Yeah. Mark, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a rare sight in the Pacific Northwest, zebras running wild. Coming up tonight, how they got loose and what's being done now to track down one zebra still missing. Plus, speeding up commercial air travel, the Colorado company working to let passengers fly faster than the speed of sound, sooner than you might think. Imagine flying from Tokyo here to the West Coast in about 4.5 hours, or maybe from New York City to London in under 4 hours. Fox's Grady Trimble has more tonight on the Colorado company that is hoping to make that a reality.
Commercial supersonic travel might be here sooner than you think. This plane behind me is basically a 1/3 scale prototype of what will eventually become Boom Supersonic's passenger plane, carrying about 8 people. They call it Overture. And take a look at this. Boom says flying about twice as fast as commercial planes do today, and of course, faster than the speed of sound. Its planes will be able to drastically cut travel time on transcontinental flights. Here's what those Overture planes will look like. The company already has more than 130 orders and pre-orders from United, American, and Japan Airlines. When you think about supersonic travel, you probably think of the Concorde, which was really expensive, unattainable for a lot of people, and ultimately was taken out of service a few years after a deadly crash. Boom's CEO says his company's planes will be different.
Compared to Concorde with half a century old technology, today we've got lighter materials, better aerodynamics, more efficient engines, and we put all that together. Our first airplane will be able to make supersonic flight available at business class kinds of fares, and then we'll be able to do premium economy, and then I think there's a future not too far away where supersonic can actually compete with economy class fares.
Now, the research, development, and testing is already underway. This video shows the plane you just saw on its first test flight last month, the very first time that aircraft ever left the ground. We talked to the 2 test pilots who will take it on more flights below the speed of sound, at first subsonic, looking to eventually fly supersonic, possibly as early as this year.
Each time we go out, we'll go a little higher and a little faster. And we'll work up in altitude and up in speed, sometimes at the same time, sometimes separating those two things.
Second flight will have a lot of first as well. That'll be the first time we retract the landing gear, so that's the big focus of the second flight.
Boom is about to open a new factory in North Carolina. They hope to have passengers flying on these planes commercially by 2029. There are other companies working on similar projects, but Boom CEO tells me they've got about a 10-year head start on the competition. In Mojave, California, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
All right, finally tonight, animal control officers in Washington are searching still tonight for one remaining zebra that escaped from a trailer over the weekend. 3 of the 4 zebras that got loose have been found and corralled back to safety. They were all on their way to an animal sanctuary in Montana when they escaped from their trailer on Sunday afternoon, not far from Interstate 90 in North Bend. A homeowner spotted the animals wandering into her backyard before they were captured.
They looked right at me, and I was like, okay, I don't make noise. I think I gotta be quiet. No, you learn with a bear, you make a lot of noise. You gotta make yourself big. And I'm like, with zebras, no one's taught me what to do when you're approached by zebras.
Yeah, that would be quite the sight. Efforts are still underway tonight, and they're intensifying to try to find the single male zebra that is still on the loose, and that's prompting concerns, obviously, about public safety, first of all, and, of course, the welfare of the animal. Members of the public have been doing what they can to help, offering everything from search dogs to drones, and hopefully they do find that zebra soon and get them to safety. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. As always, you can stay up to date with all the stories we're covering at our website, westcoastwrap.com, and you can stream our shows on the Fox Local app. Have a great rest of your night. We'll leave you this beauty shot of the Golden Gate. Have a good one.